Okay, so welcome to 2021 EM Changes MDM Part 3. I'm really sorry I had to break this thing up into so many parts for you guys. Thank you for your patience, and without further ado, let's jump in. So we're going to move on to the very last category, and then we're going to talk about how it all ties together. So the very last category, which is in the final column, column 5, is the overall risk. This kind of is like the risk table that you might remember from 1995 and 97 guidelines. It basically is, what is the overall risk to the patient, diagnostically and treatment-wise? Basically, minimal and low means that the decisions will not have detrimental impact on the patient as much as moderate and high would. And so when you get into, like I said, those aren't well defined, so we're moving on. When you get to moderate gives some examples. And these are the examples that we've seen on the risk table, like prescription drug management, the decision for minor surgery with identified patient or procedure risk factors, decision regarding elective major surgery without any risk factors, and diagnosis or treatment that is significantly limited by social determinants. Now that is defined out there. The diagnosis or treatment that would be significantly limited by social determinants of health. So this is something we haven't covered before in the guidelines, which, especially with homelessness on the rise like it is, that is definitely good that they've added that. Social determinants. Economic and social conditions that may influence the health of people and communities. Examples may include food and housing insecurity. All right, let's go down in high risk. They give some examples here. They talk about drug therapy requiring intensive monitoring for toxicity, and they actually define this out, and they give you good information on what constitutes drug therapy for intensive monitoring for toxicity. We could do a whole video on that one probably. Decision regarding elective major surgery with risk factors. So this is a patient that's having a major surgery that is elective, so they might not, they could elect. It's not emergent. They're not having to have it right now. It is something that they can schedule. And they do have identified risk factors. Say they have breathing problems or, cardiac problems. But you have to document that. And then decision for emergency major surgery. So you're seeing a patient and you're like, whoa, maybe an appendectomy. We got to take them to the OR today. This is where that would fall under. And decision regarding hospitalization. See, this wasn't on the 1995 and 97 guidelines. So this is a nice one that they've added. This one, say patient is in the office and you're having to decide that they may need to be hospitalized. So that's, we didn't have that before. That's good that that's there. It was kind of inferred, but now they've added it as an example on here, which is good. And then decision to not resuscitate or to de-escalate care because of poor prognosis. This one, I guess we would see this one in the outpatient setting, but we do see this one a lot in the inpatient setting. So that one's still on there. That was on there from the risk table for the 95 and 97 guidelines, so it's still okay. I'm back. I had to go out and go all like gangster on my software here, but I had to show who's boss. I'm going to pull a little example out of my head, and we're going to see what we can do with it. So let's start with the first column, which is the number and the number and complexity of problems addressed. Let's say our patient came in and they had diabetes, and they had hypertension, and they had hyperlipidemia, which I see a lot of this combination. So you have a patient comes in, and our doctor is a family practice doctor, and he's going to address all three of those. So those are 3 problems addressed. These problems are all established to the provider already. None of these are new. So these are problems the patient has. They're chronic established issues that the patient has been seeing the provider for. So they're coming back in for a follow-up, and they're on meds, so they're here to follow up. So their diabetes is stable, and the provider knows this because he did an A1C in the office, and the A1C was good to go. And the patient is on metformin the provider's going to leave the patient on that. They're not going to change anything. Patient has hypertension and their blood pressure was a little high. It was elevated in the office. The patient is on, let's say, lisinopril. I don't know how correct that is. So they're on a blood pressure medicine. Their blood pressure is a little elevated. And the doctor's not going to order anything, but he is going to increase the dose on the drug. So he's doing prescription drug management because he's decided to increase the dose of the drug. And the patient's on hyperlipidemia, or the patient has hyperlipidemia. We're going to assume it's stable right now because we haven't done anything about it, but the provider has decided to order a lipid panel so that the next time the patient comes in, they'll have, that way, typically a provider probably would have done the lipid panel prior to this visit, but let's say the patient didn't fast and they're going to do like a fasting lipid or something like that. So the provider decides, I'm going to have to order a lipid panel. For whatever reason, we didn't get one before this visit. We do want to have one before the next visit. So he's going to order a lipid panel, but he's not going to no change to the meds. He's going to leave his atravastin where it is right now. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So his Lipitor is going to stay at the same dose it is right now. The provider's going to wait till he takes a look at the lipid panel to decide if he needs to change anything. So not changing drugs. So let's work this thing out in our heads. I'm sorry I don't have a written copy of this. When I do a video where I'm just going to go through some examples, I'll make sure I put a nice little written copy for you guys to follow along with. So this is just, I'm pulling this out of my head as I go here. I don't know how good it's going to turn out. Hopefully it'll turn out fine. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to see if I can't make this bigger. So we're going to go down the first column, or the first element column, which is number and complexity of problems addressed. So how many problems did the doctor address? Well, he addressed a stable diabetes, stable hyperlipidemia, and slightly elevated blood pressure for the hypertension, so we weren't stable on the hypertension. So let's dig in here. Is it low? Low is 2 or more self-limited. None of these are self-limited problems. These are all chronic issues. 1 stable chronic illness. Well, actually we had 2 stable chronic illnesses and 1 that wasn't. So we were above low. So let's go up to moderate and take a look at that. So did we have 2 or more stable chronic illnesses? Yes, we did. So we're going to circle that. And your stables are your diabetes right now and your hyperlipidemia. Right? Sorry, my handwriting's messy. Then, did they have an acute illness did they have an undiagnosed new problem? No. Did they have an acute illness with systemic symptoms? No. Did they have an acute complicated injury? No. But they did have 1 chronic illness with an exacerbation. That was the hypertension because they had elevated BP. So that's what we have there. And I do want to go down to high just to see. 1 or more chronic illnesses with severe exacerbations. No, we did not have that. And 1 acute or chronic illnesses that pose threat to life. No, so we definitely don't need to go that high. So here's where we need to be for this. So I would say that moderate for that column. Okay, let's go on to our next column. So how much data did we review? Limited or, oops, sorry, I'm making a big hot mess here. Let me turn that on. All right. Was it minimal or none? No. Was it limited? Let's see. So for limited, we have to meet the requirements of at least 1 of the 2 categories. And for category 1, because that's the category we're pretty much in, and I'll tell you why, any combination of 2 from the following. So what did we do? We reviewed the A1C. So we did a review of a lab. Oh, sorry. So we reviewed a A1C. Kind of messy there, isn't it? And then we ordered something. What did we order? We ordered a lipid. So we get 1 point here, 1 point here. That's the 2. So we are here on our lab, on our data. I'm going to scooch over to the last column and zoom it in. Oop, I still got some messes over here. Hold on. There we go. From when I was fighting with this thing earlier, I cut that out of the video. I didn't think you guys wanted to watch me fight with this. So in the last column, which is your risk of complications and or morbidity or mortality to the patient, do we have minimal risk of mortality? No, I don't think so. Low. Let's see what moderate is. Moderate includes prescription drug management. What did he do? He increased the dose of the lisinopril, or the hypertension medicine. I'm not even sure that's the right one or if I'm pronouncing it right, but so what we're going to do, we're going to mark that. So that puts us in moderate for that column. So let's go across our columns. So when you go over here, I hope I'm not making you guys dizzy or nauseous here. I'm going to have to start telling you guys, putting up a disclaimer that you're going to need to go ahead and take something for motion sickness before you start watching my videos, but sorry. Remember, it says based on 2 of the 3 in these elemental columns. So go back to your elemental columns, and I'm going to make it small like that, small version so you guys can see. Do we have 2 in one row? Yes, we do. We have this and that. That means we are dealing with a moderate patient. So this was an established patient. Like I said, this doctor, remember when I first started saying it, the doctor has been taking care of their diabetes, hypertension, and hyperlipidemia. These are chronic illnesses that the doctor's been managing. It's an established patient. That would be a 99214. See how much easier this is than doing history exam decision making. Because when we were doing history exam and decision making, we were still having to do all of this too. And then we were having to meet 3 of 3 for new patients and 2 of 3 for established patients. What a hot mess. This is so much more simple. I hope that they will roll this out in the hospital setting. It will make my life a lot easier out there. But this is so much cooler. I love this. So this is my overview of the medical decision making. It's simple, but you're gonna have to learn those definitions. You are gonna have to understand what each one of these terms means so that you're applying all of this technology and terminology appropriately. Here's my recommendation to you. And I don't know if I said this early in the video. Hopefully I didn't. But my recommendation to you, if you're a provider, is I would have someone in your office print up this table right here, and then I would have them get me these diagnoses, these terms, and put them on the back. What I would do is I'd have this printed up on the front, and on the back I would have the terminology on the back, and I would laminate that, and I'd put one of those in each one of my exam rooms, just where I could grab it and take a quick look at it when I'm picking my level of service. Or if you're more technically savvy and prefer everything to be on your laptop or your iPhone or your whatever device it is that you're carrying around with you when you go from room to room to see your patients, you may consider just doing a screenshot of this right here. You won't have your definitions that way, but if you'll learn how those definitions work with this table, then you'll be good to go. All right, guys, this is my website, and as you can see, I told you I'm doing a blog series to go along with the video series, so there it is. And all of the links that I've discussed are out here on my website, as well as how to get to all my social media information is out there. It'll take you to my Facebook. It'll take you to my LinkedIn. Let's see. Whoop, that is not what we meant to do. Hold on, let me go back. There we are. But you can go to all my social media. You can email me directly from my website. The coding tools that I'm creating will be out there. Right now, my coding tools are free. I will be creating some coding tools that you guys can purchase, but right now they're free to download, the ones that I have out there. You can get to my videos via my website, or you can go through YouTube to get to them. Like I said, my blog posts are right here, and also some information about me and what I do and how long I've been doing it, and some information about that. Okay, so like I was saying, You can contact me in all different ways. I don't have to go through that again because I showed you on my website how to find all my contact information. My contact information is also on my YouTube channel in the description below. I think I have a lot of it in there as well. And if you like this video, if it was helpful to you at all, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We would love for you to be a part of the tribe. Ring the little bell for notifications and it'll let you know when I drop a new video. And like I've already said before, feel free to email me. I love to hear from you guys. And I know this has been a long video. I apologize for that, but I hope it was helpful for you. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, you guys have a great time coding, and you doctors stay safe out there.